DWHDailyNews.com. I'm Seth Lawrence with this local news update. Piecemeal continues its return to the routine of Central Illinois seniors as COVID concerns begin to ease. Shelley Tolley with Piecemeal says this is the time of year they see many seniors taking a pause from the program because of travel, and it's simply a good time for easier mobility. Piecemeal is in need of volunteers, though. Tolley explains there are several capacities a volunteer could make a difference. She points to drivers who could volunteer for roughly an hour a week, or a volunteer could help at a congregate site.
We have some people that, like our route driver in Rantoul, he used to be a volunteer and it turned into a paid position.
Oh, wow.
And he just moved right into it. You can choose, like in Monticello, we have about 6 or 7 churches and the Rotary Club that take a week, that rotate weeks. So they organize the volunteers and then send them to us.
Mm-hmm.
I know what Drew's done in the past is like certain people pick certain days of the week. So one guy drove every Monday, one guy drove every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Some people only want to do it a couple of days a month.
Mm-hmm.
So the commitment is whatever you want the commitment to be. But in Clinton, it's about an hour and a half to deliver a route.
I see.
We need you to be there probably about 10 o'clock to about 12:30.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is just help Drew set up the lunches to be delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And then we clean that up. Then we go out and talk with the congregate clients that have come into the site. And then once it's time for lunch, you'll help set up the lunches.
Mm-hmm.
And then Drew will go sit down. The site supervisors go and sit and eat lunch with them, because it's about forming connections, relationships. It's not just about serving them a meal. So then while Drew is having that time with the clients, the kitchen volunteers will help clean up the lunch.
Okay.
And then when she's done with that, then she comes in and finishes it up.
Tolley offers an update on moving into northern Piatt County and eastern DeWitt County. In Farmer City, they offer a restaurant program, while in DeLand, they're only able to do home-delivered meals.
We have opportunity to serve in that community. We do not have any seniors right now, but we can deliver home-delivered meals there. If you're in DeLand and you need a meal, please give us a call. And again, that number is 309-665-5900 or 833-923-3905.
Those interested in signing up for Piecemeal, again, those numbers, 309-665-5900 or 833-923-3905. Get the latest in local news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast. Cloudy skies this afternoon with a chance for scattered storms. Highs level off around 83. Southwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Slight chance for scattered storms again. Tonight, lows dip down to about 68. Partly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 86. Tomorrow, slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Hear weather twice an hour or online anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 73.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app. Tune into all of WHOW's platforms on AM, FM, and streamed at IllinoisFarmRadio.com for live coverage of the DeWitt 4-H Fair, featuring 4-H'ers from DeWitt, Piatt, and Macon counties, the Farmer City Junior Fair, featuring junior 4-H'ers from the area, and reports from the Illinois State Fair this summer. Our coverage this year is brought to you by our title sponsor, Apex Clean Energy, a leading developer of wind and solar projects to bring investment to local farming communities. Our coverage is also brought to you by AHW, your John Deere dealer in Macon and Monticello, Heartland Bank and Trust, with locations across central Illinois, the Macon County Farm Bureau, where membership means value, Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton, Compassionate Care close to home, Midstate Eye in Clinton, where they believe life is all about your vision, Nancy Metal in Mount Zion, your pole barn building specialists, and First State Bank, Hayworth Branch. Read all the results from judging at the DeWitt 4-H and Farmer City Junior Fairs by clicking the Fair Results icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
We're the late night place to be. Hi, Jim Bohannon here, host of the Jim Bohannon Show, heard weeknights from 9 till midnight on all of the WHOW platforms. Join me with stimulating guests and your calls on the topics of the day. We bring you guests to keep you in the know every weeknight from 9 till midnight. It's the Jim Bohannon Show on 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, 106.5 FM in Logan County, plus streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app and Amazon Alexa.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is Jack Myers with Social Security. Good morning, Jack. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Seth. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. And as always, thanks for making time for us. And let's dive in, Jack. Start right off with changing our address and phone number at our My Social Security account. You know, we talk a lot about the My Social Security account and just so much we can do there. This is another aspect of that.
Absolutely, Seth. You know, the My Social Security account is a really valuable tool to have. It offers a lot of different services to folks. And one of those examples, as you mentioned, is if you receive Social Security benefits, about the easiest way for you to go in and change your address and phone number if you need to is by doing so through your My Social Security account. So if you don't already have one, you just go to the Social Security website, which is ssa.gov/myaccount, or just go to ssa.gov and look for My Social Security. You can't miss it there. Get that account set up, and once you create that account, you can update your contact information from wherever you want. So wherever you have internet access, you can log in and update that contact info. And it's available for people who receive several different types of benefits from Social Security. Some examples would be Social Security retirement benefits, survivor's benefits, disability benefits. If you're on Medicare, Medicare actually gets their address from Social Security, so you could update your address through us, through your My Social Security account, and then that would pass on over to Medicare. One thing I would like to point out with this updating the address is when I said disability, I mean Social Security disability, because the other disability program we administer, the Supplemental Security Income, commonly known as SSI, for that one, you would be able to check the address that we have on file for you through your My Social Security account. But if you need to make any updates to your address, if you're on SSI, you would need to contact us by phone or in person to change that. And that has to do with the fact that SSI is what we call a needs-based program. So it's kind of more income and asset-based, and a component of eligibility for SSI, because it is needs-based, has to do with your living arrangement. So that's what we have to talk to you about. So it's not quite as simple to update your address if you're on SSI, but for all the different types of Social Security benefits that I mentioned, you can go in and update that address very simply right there at ssa.gov/myaccount.
Sure. Well, Jack, remind us about the My Social Security account. Like, how do we get that started? How do we create one? And what types of things can we do at a My Social Security account? I think this is a good time to put out those reminders.
Yeah, because there are some other things you can do, Seth. So let's hit on the first part of that question first. And, you know, in order to get that set up, you want to go to ssa.gov/myaccount. A couple of things that you should keep in mind is you're going to have to be at least 18 years old to establish a My Social Security account. Probably goes without saying, but you're going to have a Social Security number. You're going to need to provide a U.S. mailing address. Now, this can include military addresses, AFOs, FPOs. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% U.S., but it's got to be at least a military address or something like that as well. And then you're going to have an email address that you include as you're creating that My Social Security account. But that can be, you know, one of the free email services that are out there. So there's no problem with doing something like that. And once you get that account set up, then some of the other advantages of things you can do You can get estimates of your future Social Security benefits. So, it's really not just for folks who are already getting benefits. People who have not yet applied should set up one of these accounts too, because you can do that. You can get those estimates. You can also get a replacement Social Security card if you need one. So if you have a driver's license or a state ID, you can go ahead and log into your account and request a replacement Social Security card. That's a super simple way to handle that transaction. You can also update direct deposit information. You can request what we call benefit verification letters, which are, also known as, sometimes people call them proof of income letters. Sometimes people call them award letters. That's not really an accurate description of what it is, but often that's a term that's used. So basically what it would be is just a letter that proves how much you get from Social Security that you can use for a variety of different purposes.
Very good. So keep that in mind. Anything else on that, Jack, you want to put out there for us today?
Well, just a reminder to get there again, go to ssa.gov and then look for My Social Security.
Jack Myers with Social Security, my guest on the phone for this morning. Jack, let's talk about understanding the need for a representative payee, why this is important, and what we should know. What do you have for us there?
Yeah, so, we all know people who get monthly benefits from Social Security or SSI. And, in some cases, those people need help managing their money. And, it can be for a variety of reasons. It can be maybe a person who is a younger age, but they have a disability that requires them to need some assistance managing their money. Or maybe it's an older friend or relative who never used to need help, but as the aging process is taking its toll on them, things like managing their money are getting harder for them. And so they might need some assistance with that. And that's where what we call the representative payee program comes into play. Basically, if there's a person that needs help managing their money, we can appoint a person or an organization to act as their representative payee. And the representative payee would be responsible for receiving and managing the person's benefits. They would not be financially responsible from a taxation perspective for that person's benefits, but they would be accountable for how they use that person's benefits. So that part's very important for people to understand. They would have to be in a position to ensure that the person's needs were being met with the benefit before any kind of other purchases could be made. So, we're talking like food, shelter, clothing, their most basic needs are to be met first. And then if there's any additional funding, then other purchases could be made. And the process, Seth, when we assign a payee, would basically select someone who knows the beneficiary's needs and is in that position, like I said, to be aware of what the person needs to be taken care of. And remember, there is accountability there.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the beneficiary's relationship to the payee, there may even be a form that the payee has to fill out, an accounting form that they have to fill out each year to show how they use that money to, kind of best take care of the person they're serving as representative payee for.
Very good. So keep that in mind. And you mentioned, Jack, that that form that a payee may have to fill out for Social Security. There could be forms as well that offer other helpful services. What types of services? What are we talking about there?
Yeah. So, basically when we talked in the first segment about the My Social Security account, the My Social Security account has kind of a subsection that we call the representative payee portal. So, it's really kind of a cool thing. So if you are a representative payee as an individual, not an organization, but if you as an individual are representative payee for somebody, when you create your My Social Security account, our system will know that you serve as payee for another individual. So when you go to log into your My Social Security account, it'll ask you, do you want to look at your own information and take care of business for yourself? Or do you want to look at information for this person, John Doe, for whom you serve as payee? So if you select, okay, I'm going to put my payee hat on now and I'm going to select that, then you'll go into the payee portal and you'll be able to do things for the person you serve as payee for. And one of those examples of things you can do is you can do that payee accounting form through that. So it's a pretty convenient way to do it. It's kind of cool how the system just knows, and if you stop being payee for John Doe, then you'll lose access to that through your My Social Security account, but you'll still have, of course, access to your information. So It's all connected there, and that's kind of cool. But the last thing I'll mention on the payee program is that now when you file for your Social Security benefits, we ask you if you would like to designate in advance any individuals that would be good candidates to serve as payee for you in the future should you ever need it. And basically all you're doing is you're giving us a name, a relationship, and a phone number to reach them at. And then we would contact them down the road should you ever need a payee and not be in a position to tell us who that person would be. So it's called advanced designation. It's an optional thing, but you will be asked about it when you apply for benefits. So give that some consideration in case that's something you want to identify for us up front.
Very good. A lot of good information there, Jack. Where do folks go to learn about all those things?
So we've got a whole bunch of info about the representative payee program on the website. If you go to www.ssa.gov/payee, you can learn all about what we've talked about here this morning, and then even more in terms of the representative payee program.
Sure. Well, Jack, I'll tell you what, I look at the clock. We are not quite to needing a break, but I'd rather take one now and not start a conversation and have to interrupt it with the break. So let's do that here, and we'll come back with some more. Jack Myers with Social Security is my guest on the phone for this morning. More to come here on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLoss Yonke. First 3 days of the week have been losing sessions for soybeans. In that time, November contract has dropped almost a full $1 a bushel, with the overnight session now a little bit more than $1. Corn managed to fight a little bit higher yesterday, despite the fact that crude oil futures were close to a 6-month low. September corn down 3 1/4, 5.88 1/4. December down 3 1/2, 5.92 3/4, and March down 3 3/4, $6.50. September soybeans down a half, 14.03 1/4. November down 4 1/4, 13.65 1/2, and January down 4 1/4, 13.73 1/4. September Chicago wheat down a penny, 7.62 3/4. This is the RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick also has transportation options in Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. Baum Motor Company in Farmer City has been open since 2002. We have used cars and trucks, SUVs, and crossovers to fit your transportation needs. We also have a convenient service option for maintenance and repairs, plus trailer sales and trailer rentals. Come see Chase Stevenson, Taylor Kennedy for sales, and Matt French for service. Baum Motor Company in Farmer City, right from the start.
Here at Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton, we're putting out our fall decor and our cooler weather clothes just in time for school. This is Connie reminding you to bring us your donations and to check out our Facebook page or doitdailynews.com for our weekly sales.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate. Don't get burned.
No worries. I have my SPF 1000.
It's time to list your house with us while the market's still hot.
Like bacon wrapped jalapenos.
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
List your house today by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Jack Myers with Social Security is my guest on the phone for this segment of the show. Jack, let's talk a little bit. I know we go over this maybe once or twice a year, just the acronyms for Social Security. You and I throw those out a lot. I'm not familiar with all of them, but most of the time when you throw one out, I think I know what you're talking about. How about about expanding our knowledge of what Social Security means when you put some of these terms out there?
Yeah, so that's important because we do strive to explain people's benefits using easy to understand plain language. And beyond just being a desire of ours, that's actually a requirement, because there's something called the Plain Writing Act of 2010 that requires federal agencies to communicate information clearly in a way that the public can understand and use. And admittedly, it can be a little bit of a challenge when we're talking about complicated programs like Social Security or Supplemental Security Income and Medicare, but we do have this glossary on our website of terms and acronyms that will help people understand the meaning. So if you're talking to somebody about Social Security and you come across a term that you don't quite know what it is, go to the SSA.gov website and look for that glossary. Just to give you a few examples, a little bit of a primer, if you will, here this morning, a couple terms that you definitely should know, and this first one I think in the next few months is going to be popping up in the headlines, is COLA, cost of living adjustment. Social Security and SSI benefits keep pace with inflation through cost of living adjustments. Most years, your benefit will get a cost of living adjustment, which usually means extra money for you, so that's always good news. This inflation protection is a very valuable aspect of your Social Security benefit. So if you think about it, the purchasing power, especially in times of higher inflation like we're dealing with now, the purchasing power of your Social Security benefits are protected through these COLAs. And just a little bit of a teaser, I don't have any idea what's going to happen next year with the cost of living adjustment, but within the next couple months, probably mid-October, we'll know. And like I said, I think at that point, that term will be popping up all over for you. And then another term is credits. Okay, so as you work and pay Social Security taxes on your earnings, you earn credits, which used to be called quarters of coverage. So you may kind of use that term, in conjunction with credits. They're sort of the same thing. You can earn up to 4 credits per year, and the amount of gross wages or net earnings from self-employment required to earn a credit typically goes up a little bit from one year to the next. But in 2022, you get 1 credit for each $1,510 in gross wages or net earnings from self-employment. Now, you can only earn up to 4 credits in a year. So if you get $6,040 in gross wages or net earnings from self-employment, you would have your full 4 credits for the year. Most people are going to need 40 credits to qualify for a retirement benefit. So basically, you have to work at least 10 years. Now, you could stretch it out longer and get those 40 credits over a longer period of time. But the point is, you're going to have to work at least 10 years and paying into Social Security, earning those credits in order to be eligible for a benefit. Now, if you become disabled before you hit retirement age, or a young worker dies, then the requirement is not 40 credits. It's based on your age when you became disabled or when the young worker passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing to mention here, Seth, is earning the minimum amount of credits to become eligible will get you something from Social Security, but we ultimately base your benefit amount from retirement anyway on your 35 best years of work. So working more years and earning more money and paying more into the system will yield a higher benefit amount. So don't confuse minimum eligibility with, maximizing what your potential benefit amount could be. And then another term I'll throw out there, this one's probably a little bit more self-explanatory, is just simply earnings record.
Mm-hmm.
Basically this is the history of the amount of money you've earned each year. So if you look into your My Social Security account, for example, you can see your earnings record and make sure that your earnings have been properly reported, mm-hmm. so that when we calculate your benefit, you get the proper amount. And then, the final one that I'll mention here this morning is FICA, and that stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. This is probably, if anybody even still looks at pay stubs, I know they don't get sent out that often anymore. Most are electronic. But if you do look at your pay stub, you may see this acronym on the pay stub itself. And basically, it's the tax that's withheld from your wages that funds the Social Security and the Medicare program. So that's what FICA stands for, Federal Insurance Contributions Act. But these, as I said, are just a few of the different terms that you can find online at that glossary. So you go to ssa.gov/agency/glossary, and you can learn all about these terms and many others that might help you if you're struggling to understand something that you're hearing in terms of Social Security or the programs we administer.
I see. Very good. So check all that out. Good information there, Jack. Anything else before we wrap that portion of the conversation up?
Nope, that's it for that one.
All right, easy enough. Jack, let's finish up with Social Security is here for you. 90 years. I know you and I talked about the 90-year anniversary of Social Security. Talk a little bit about that and just how Social Security helps people.
Yeah, so, America has such an increasingly diverse population with a variety of needs that, we're trying to, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We're trying to find ways to communicate clearly to people in ways that they can understand. So one of the things that we've done is we've created web pages within our ssa.gov website that speak directly to groups of people who may need information about our programs and services. And the whole idea there, our programs don't change. They're the same for different groups of people, but different groups of people tend to be more interested in different aspects of our programs. So we have this whole segment of our website called People Like Me pages. So if you go to ssa.gov and then go to our menu, then you can find something that says information for, and then People Like Me. And what the People Like Me pages do is they group information in clusters that we think might be more interesting to, for example, people who are pre-retirement age or mid-career or early career. But, it's not all just based on age. We also have information that we think would be more interesting to American Indians and Alaska Natives, to African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanics, veterans, students, parents and guardians, LGBTQ+, and more. So we've got all kinds of different People Like Me pages that we think might be, good little collections of information that you would like if you fall into one of those categories. So check that out at ssa.gov/people.
All right, Jack, I've got about a minute left with you, sir. Anything you want to mention this morning that we haven't touched on? Anything that's kept you busy or we should know about Social Security?
Well, just a reminder for folks that, our offices are open for walk-in traffic. That's something that's been the case for several months now. We do have pretty busy offices these days. So if you can do something online at ssa.gov, that's advisable. If not, you probably want to give us a call at 800-772-1213. See if you can take care of your business over the phone. But if those two options don't work that well for you, you do have the option of walking into a Social Security office. You don't need an appointment. You can walk in and get service that way once again. So, happy to mention that's on the table once again. Even though it has been for a few months, it's still kind of good news because it was so long that it wasn't an option.
Very good. Jack, it's always good to talk to you, sir. Thanks for making time for us and bringing good conversation as always.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Jack Myers, Social Security, my guest on the phone for this morning. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network News.